So you're a bit weird, right? You're a bit of an anomaly in Ormeau Baths, and that is you show up once a week, and when you do, you come with like 40 people.
That's true, yeah.
What is that all about?
Yeah, I guess. So after pandemic, around the time of COVID, we had a team of 4 or 5.
Right.
Yeah. So everyone moved to work from home, and as soon as we had a chance to get back, we grabbed it. But we had also, I was listening to kind of the team in this kind of transition between, okay, how we're going to do the hybrid approach. So I think we first did a trial day of here back in November 21.
Uh-huh.
And the team just loved it. Like, as soon as we came in, it was just so relaxed, bumped into a few people we knew, and the general, you could just sense the atmosphere and the sense of community straight away.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, at the time I said we had about 5 or 6, so I was kind of early 2022 we came in and we started playing on this idea of 1 day a week.
Yeah.
4 days remote, 1 day. And very quickly that wooden desk in East Wing became our spot, and we're creatures of habit, right?
So the whole tree is just taken up with DHD.
So yeah, we never fixed a day, and we decided to, just kind of play it by ear each week. Like what's going to be our Belfast day? But yeah, now it's got this stage. There's 11 of us. But very rarely, to be fair, there's very rarely a day where all 11 of us are in.
Okay.
But yeah, we do tend to come in and...
It's unbelievable. It's so cool. And I mean, let's be honest, let's have a real conversation about this. Client generating location.
100%.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, I always joke with people, whenever I'm trying to explain what this place is, I'm like, right, picture a gym for entrepreneurs. And instead of like swapping money, sometimes you can swap services with each other, where it's like you do your photos, I'll do your copy, I make your podcast, you do some consulting for me. And it's such a great environment to build all that out.
Yeah, I know the word's overused, but the collaboration in the place is unreal, and I love that. People are just almost waiting for the opportunities of how we can serve each other. Yeah. And I think that's key. It's not even just like, okay, sales head on, it's just naturally people come over, chat, I could really use that help. Brilliant. And we serve each other. So yeah, I love that about this place. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was listening to something the other day, and it was so simple, but it was so lovely, and it was just like, do you know what, like we are all actively looking to do something for the people in our lives. And so like never be afraid of receiving help, because actually you know how good it makes you feel whenever you use the chance to be like, hey, here Stephen, let me show you how Notion works, right? So Notion is as I saw Ben doing earlier on, and it's really, really exciting. So it's cool. So yeah, look, hello, welcome back to another episode of Meet the Members, where we have the chance to get to know some of the incredible people who call Ormeau Baths their business home. Joined here today with DH himself, David Henderson of DHD, David Henderson Design. Really, really interesting company, been in business over 15 years. And I really want to talk about, like, what have you seen change in the last 15 years? Because it's unbelievable. It's not a long time in the grand scheme of things, but in the digital landscape, you're like a design grandfather. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's moved so fast. Like, Instagram. I don't know how old Instagram is, but think of Instagram 10 years ago versus Instagram now. Different beast, and that's one app.
Exactly. Yeah, I think 2010.
Oh, he's got the facts. He's got the facts.
I might need.
Love it.
Nah, I need to check. It could be 2012. But yeah, I think that's a key place to start. Actually, social media was the game changer.
Wow.
I mean, when we started out, I came straight out of uni. It was just me for 5 years. I set up a porta cabin in my mum and dad's back garden.
Legend.
So that was how DHD kind of started. It was just. I was keen to be creative, and while I was trained in web design, web development, I was so passionate about let me try a bit of animation, I'll try graphic design, brand identity, and all those services kind of layered up. Yeah. For I guess what my clients needed at the time, and if they didn't need them, I suggested them. They're like, yeah, go for it. Most of the time.
Like, have you ever printed your logo on a water bottle? It's unbelievable.
Exactly. So Yeah, I guess what I've seen in terms of transition has been huge. I mean, web design, when we learnt to code and build websites in university, we had to relearn what we learnt in year 2, in year 4,
It's mad.
when we came back from placement.
That's
So
crazy.
literally the lecturers came and said, guys, remember all that stuff we taught you in year 2?
Yeah,
Forget about it.
that's mad.
We've got a new way of building websites.
Yeah.
It's called CSS. So we're like,
Yeah.
what? Well, we should, at that stage, we should say, okay, can we get a refund for year 2? But that's how fast it was moving in the early noughties. I mean, I started uni in 04, graduated in 08. And obviously then responsive smartphones. Like, no one had a smartphone when I was in uni.
Yeah. Yeah.
So really showing my age here.
Yep.
But you know, so obviously that changed how we consume information, and you've got to move. I guess there was the technology drive, or sorry, in terms of devices, that drove how we consume data and consume information and interact with online information. You know, so
Yeah.
and then of course with social, again, a bit of a game changer too.
Yeah.
And just in terms of how we share
Mm-hmm.
and how we connect. Yeah, there's so much. I mean, but I don't think I slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
I think in terms of, like, you know, in some ways technology and the devices we use, we kind of get, you know, I feel like there's been a bit of a plateau there.
Yeah.
But then when you hear things like Apple, you know, working on these, you know, AR glasses, and I know that's always been a bit of a rumor for a while now.
Yeah.
Will it happen? Will it not?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
But
Probably.
the iteration is crazy. You know, like, phones been around for a while now. But all of a sudden, like, just in 3 years there, content shifted completely vertical. Like, it just vertical became the king all of a sudden. And then if you are like, you have a team of videographers, it's like all of a sudden you're like, all right, so now we have to do this vertical thing now,
Yeah.
but horizontal video is still there at the same time. So, like, now we have to do both. Like, what the heck? And algorithms are going crazy for vertical, and it opens up to a whole new audience, and it's crazy.
Yeah. Lucy, who was just here a moment ago, would have been a great one to ask, because that's yeah, an interesting topic with her. I think that's it. You've got to create for, you know, where things are at, but also where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of, you know, and especially with we were very passionate about storytelling. You know, and again with short form content, with reels, you've got to really think about how you tell that story in a shorter.
Bro, you turn into like Steven Spielberg on a storyboard in a 60-second time frame. It's scary.
Sure.
You gotta be sharp.
Yeah, and then you go to the other extreme, obviously long form content. There's still opportunities there to do that well.
Yeah.
You know.
Is there an area in kind of the digital space that you find yourself constantly trying to convince your clients to step into, but they're kind of reluctant to do?
That's a great question. I think, you know, even keeping on the subject of social, yeah, we'd often encourage clients to get in front of the camera. You know, show people who is behind the brand, and even in terms of content on the website as well. Social strategy, you're thinking, guys, if people got to know who you are, they'll connect on a more human, emotional level.
Yeah.
And that's going to open all kind of doors, not just for sales or the business growth and the hard stuff, which is great, but also in the soft brand, employer brand. You know, there's so many factors to encouraging people to get in front of the camera, become a wee bit more vulnerable, and show who they are, show behind the scenes, I guess, as well.
Yeah, there's a new bakery opened near where we live, and it's so interesting. They're like completely analog. Well, they do have Instagram, but young couple over COVID started making bread in their oven and kind of just, like, you know, expanded and blew up from there. Started hitting up all the markets, and they were able to, like, create this cult-like following.
Amazing.
And then open up their own physical premises, and now there's a queue there every single day. They're open and people are showing up. But we were in the other day and my mate was commenting on this as well, and he goes, they have a personal connection with every single person that they're chatting to the point where that's why people go. It's the same reason why people go to Napoleon, because of that personal intimacy that you're talking about. And it's interesting that, like, if you don't have a physical business like that, your Instagram page kind of becomes your shop window.
Right.
You know, it becomes your opportunity to have those meaningful connections with people. And so many people, I think particularly with like a Northern Irish kind of mindset, shy away from it because it is awkward, and you don't want your uncle to see you, and you don't want to get slagged from your mates in school, and it can be tough.
I know, and I think it's getting past that initial fear factor for people. But what I have seen is the flip side of that, where once people start to do it, that kind of fear curve or learning curve is quite actually quick.
Yeah, it is.
So once they've done it a handful of times, they're actually, this isn't as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
And, you know, in terms of the feedback they're getting, it's actually mostly encouraging. You know, I would say, well, you know, depends. Like, but I think people will find that they are better than they expect.
Yeah. Because
you've got to, again, it's trying to be encouraging people to be genuine, not to put up that front, or try to be something different. You know, because people can really see through that quite quickly.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting area to kind of discuss with people, but you know, so much of our time is spent trying to telling our client's story on their behalf as well. So we've got to really know them, and I think that's one thing that's kind of sets DHD apart. One of our USPs is kind of, we're really relational. We really want to get to know the people, and because once we get to know the people and all the different sectors that we work with, we start to understand their passions, why they exist, and tell their story better to their clients and customers.
I started off business as a copywriter,
right?
And I loved that side to it. I think it's kind of led me into podcasting, because you would meet the client and you would sit down with them and you would, you know, ask them all the big questions and really get to know them, and then you would kind of, you know, take all of the content and all the passion that they put in your brain, and you would kind of like output it through your fingertips into, like, you know, readable copy. And there is that, it's the soft side of an agency that I think a lot of people don't think about. Like, I was chatting to Stephen the other day about Mad Men, Roger Sterling, and like it's relationships at the end of the day is the front end, and then the creative and the actual assets that you're creating is almost the back of house. Do you know?
Yeah, totally.
So how have you found expanding your team? Because you went from Portakabin in the garden to now, you know, pretty big team. So what has that process been like? Because, you know, you said you're very creative. You were sharing some university projects kind of off mic there, and so I think I would find it hard to surrender some of that creative opportunity to other people.
Yeah, that's you've hit the nail on the head. That was my big struggle in the early days when I first started building out a team, and I remember even battling that decision, kind of going back 2012, 2013 when I took my first hire on, a guy called Adam. He was a developer. He's now in Australia and still coding away, and it's great. We keep in touch. But I remember even that opportunity to take my first step of employment being very much like, first, can I do this? You know, can I work alongside someone? What's that look like? How do I delegate stuff?
Yeah. And
the urge to micromanage at the start was crazy, because everything, I still felt very, this is all, you know, this is my work.
Yeah.
That's going out. So that was a hard learning curve. But now it's like, it's a completely different story. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Delegation city.
Yeah, you're right. The master of delegation.
Well, this is how I know you've severely leveled up. When we were talking about video there, and you instantly just went, "Oh yeah, Lucy could tell you about that." I was like, "Boom, this guy's got it."
Yeah.
You like, you know, on your brain, you're just like, that's the video side of your brain just completely taken care of. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. Like, I think there was a number of things there when I built out that team. You know, for years we were 3 or 4, and then we needed to level up. But in the last 3, I guess since 2020, so last kind of 2.5, 3 years, we went to kind of from that 4 or 5, and the growth from 4 or 5 to 11 now, it was very quick. But what I would say is every single one of them, honestly, is a privilege to work alongside. They're just fantastic. Really good rapport, energy, the way we collaborate and kind of help each other and serve each other is amazing. So yes, while personally for me, especially in the early days, it was hard to kind of let go of the creative stuff. And actually, there was a while where I really missed getting my hands dirty.
Absolutely.
And stepping away from that. The last time I actually designed a website was 2020.
That's impressive. See, that's what I mean. That's how I know you've leveled up. Because it's like that technician urge. Do you know what I mean? You're just kind of like, must do it myself.
Yeah. But I'm going through a leadership course at the minute, and again, that's all about, giving your team freedom and to really make their own decisions and just be as a kind of more of a support. You know? So I think while it's been a long learning curve, I feel like I've learned a lot. So again, when I think about building a website, it's been probably 10 years since I coded.
Yeah.
So
I remember like in ICT class, like we built websites on Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
And it was so laborious, it was the worst, and the websites looked so bad. And then I came out of school and it was kind of like, Squarespace, legendary. Do you know what I mean? You're like, it's crazy how it's evolved so much, but yeah.
So it is about just kind of seeing where, who's got a passion for different skill sets, and obviously it can be in software too. Actually, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm enjoying this kind of managerial role and director role as much, if not more, than I did when I was actually designing content in the early days. And it's just working alongside people, and if you get to work with people that you get on with and everyone really enjoys the work they do, then it's a bit of a dream, really.
Absolutely. So your website copy is lovely. I was reading it before this. You got a great phrase up there. You say, we are small but mighty, right?
Yeah.
How do you, where you currently are, how do you think about going forward in the future? Because there is a lot of different businesses face it a lot of different times. Do we stay small but mighty, or do we start to take on some big scale? Do you know what I mean? The 11 turns into 30 and the 30 turns into 100. There's the possibility that you lose, or maybe there's a perception that you lose something as you progress into that journey. Where do you sit with all that at the minute?
It's a great question, and something I guess keep asking myself and chat with members of the team about on a regular basis, because of that kind of quick growth there in the last couple of years. I remember saying when we were a team of 3 or 4, we'll stay this kind of size, it's nice, and it's everyone gets on really well. Wouldn't want to be 10. Double figures, that's the scary case.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't really know each other.
Yeah.
And I feel exactly like I did when I was 3 or 4. We really are as a tight unit. So I think it's all for us. It's about, there's not ambitions to get to a 50-person agency, because to be a 50-page, that's not the point. It's for us. It's about looking at the needs of our clients, first and foremost. Secondly, I'm really passionate that nobody's completely stressed and they burn out.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Absolutely.
So it's about kind of managing the guys' expectations and workloads, and that's probably sometimes a decision to hire is when we see okay, there's a lot coming in here, let's level up in terms of bringing in help here and help there. So it's that kind of organic, I guess, natural growth. And I'm always keeping a close eye about, I guess, prioritising our culture over, this target of turnover. And I mean, that's a really bad approach to business, but it's kind of, I tend to lean towards that about people than about profit. So,
but I think that ultimately is what keeps the consistency of the work. Has to. Yeah. Because you get too turnover goal orientated. It's then who ultimately suffers is either your people or the client. I mean, that's just the trade off, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's that. Obviously, we're in business to make money. We all know that. So, but we believe that it is about, again, going back to that kind of relationship aspect of journeying with clients. I mean, most of our clients now are, kind of long-term, retainer-like relationships where we're in contact every week and working on multiple projects at once.
Yeah.
And you get that kind of level of trust and a deeper sense of who they are and where they're going, and therefore can produce better work. Yeah. Because you're kind of on that journey with them. Yeah. Which is fun and challenging.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's a lot of relationships. It's exciting. Very exciting. Why do you like Ormeau Baths?
Yeah, well, certainly. So we're kind of, I guess it is, again, it's the people. It is the people. I mean, I'm blown away by how many people come in and out through this place. And this is I'm serving 1 day a week.
Exactly.
One thing I'd love to do more of is get to more events. Steve and I were at Founders Night last week and just loved it.
Yeah.
You know, just the quality of events here as well is fantastic, and the energy and things that are going on. Yeah, there's again going back to that kind of opportunity to meet new people and build on those relationships that we already know.
Great. Wrapping up. Pitch, DHD,
yeah,
and pitch tubular, and tell me how that came about.
Okay.
Or do you say tubular?
No, it's tubular.
Tubular, man.
Yeah, so I've been a customer of Tubular for 6 years.
Nice.
I could be another session to tell you the full story. I'll keep it brief. I met these guys at a web summit in Dublin back in 2012 or 13 or something. And at the time we were in the market for CRM because we were like second spreadsheets, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had known Sean and Chris, guys from London who own Tubular since then. Since they came a client of ours actually. We worked on UX, UI consultancy for a couple of years and done things like explainer videos, animated explainer videos. Recently, their agency got bought over, so an opportunity came. They asked me would I be interested in taking Tubular forward, which I was delighted. You know, had to think a lot about actually, fantastic opportunity. I love using.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, it's a bit no-brainer. New inside out, love using it.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had an interest in running like a SaaS product.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Tubular is a sales focused CRM,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of USP is just the usability of it. It's so beautiful to use.
Nice.
The way it uses integrations with Slack and MailChimp Zero, all the rest. You know, it's just. I've used other systems and either got very fixated on one small area and the rest of it is paying for all this other stuff I never use.
Yeah.
Or frustrates me, and the learning curve is just so steep. With Tubular, I got on to that quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So did the rest of the team. So that was because it's so simple to use. We're in it every day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's early days. Like, you know, it literally has just been a project I've started since January in terms of ownership. Yeah. And we're really excited about where we can take it.
Absolutely.
And actually through the Ormeau Baths, connections here, who I found a guy called Jack who's helping me build it out in terms of the technical side.
Great.
So yeah, Jack is it's been fantastic to get to know him and work together on it these last couple of months.
Smash. Great.
But yes, keep. I guess there's so much more I could say there, but there's really excited about it.
Legend. I love that. I like to see how businesses grow. They add different things to it, you know, and like you started in 2008, so as we were saying 15 years ago, it's like it's scary to think where you'll be in 15 years time from now, do you know? It's mad. We'll have another chat then.
Hopefully before that.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not talking to you for 15 years after this. I've made a solemn podcast pact in front of all these people. Speaking of all you people, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Maybe you checked it out in a tab as you were going through Excel or checking out Tubular or whatever you were doing. I really appreciate you spending this time with us. If you'd like to come visit Ormeau Baths, if you are not already a member here and you are thinking about making it your business home, come down for a chat, come down for a coffee. If you're on the website right now, you can click somewhere up here to book a call and a tour. If you're on YouTube, you can check the description below and go straight to the Ormeau Baths website. We love it here. It's a great community and we would love for you to be a part of it. And other than that, David, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. A lot of fun.
Yeah, likewise.
Class. And that's a wrap.
Brilliant.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.